What's up, YouTube? Today I want to talk about, there's been a few things in the news, like the Zimmerman verdict has come out that has very polarizing views. So first of all, we need to settle a few things. How is murder defined? That is where, and you got to ask yourself, first of all, when you see this verdict, could you afford Zimmerman's lawyers? Do you think you could afford lawyers that would call in all those experts and people like that to show one side of the evidence or try and show certain positions? I don't think most people could afford the lawyers he had. And so that's an example where, like a lot of celebrity trials, people have lawyers that can take a side and they can turn around and manipulate it to a jury. And they can read their way into a jury and decide, okay, these people are more likely to side with this guy. And they can turn around and bring this argument, and they know logic. Like they can turn around and say, if they're going to put this evidence, then I'm going to do this. And they have this kind of planning. And so when you see these kinds of situations, you've got to ask yourself, what does the evidence say? And what does the situation end up getting pulled out as? And when you see this kind of situation, it really could go either way in court. But you see a lot of situations where somebody has a lawyer bringing in a ballistics expert and all these people, but the evidence was mishandled in this case. And there were certain pieces of evidence that were not shown. And so, like the clothes were supposed to be shown and put into bags, and they were supposed to keep them sealed or frozen and keep them protected. They didn't do that. And so above the knees, his clothes were dry, and below the knees, and that was discarded or thrown away or not held well. And so the situation ends up having loopholes that the defense ate alive. And they had a couple of witnesses, didn't see well at that night, and so you have situations. Now, this is where what's my advice to you? Well, you be careful. Like there's times when a guy may be walking somewhere and he gets stopped by the police. Well, you match description for something. And it may be somebody who didn't see well at night that saw somebody chasing someone and thinks this guy did it. And they don't know who the guy was that was being chased, but they call the police and they see him walking around, or there happens to be something happening. And so this is where appearance and, staying clean all come into play. Because, you can have a situation where a person goes to a college and they're accused by another person of something, and then they have no credibility, or you have a system that's immediately scared of this person and they're completely innocent, but they get immediately put in a bad profile. Now in this case, the kid was likely innocent, almost completely likely innocent, because the evidence was taken and twisted around. And it's an example of how money buys someone out of the justice system. And so you see this with a lot of celebrity trials, and where somebody gets a good lawyer, can argue all this stuff. And now if he had no money, he'd be charged with second-degree murder. And they'd be saying, why in the world did you follow this person? You were not told to. You were not a cop. You're impersonating a police officer, acting like one. You put us to shame. And, they wouldn't even allow him in criminal justice. I mean, why were they letting him do that with the history of his wife or fiance? He has a part of his personality that makes him unable to go in there. And so that's where somebody like him would make the psych. And so in police work, you got to be able to size up what's suspicious and profile it. Where you think somebody is dangerous, their voice tones are changing, they seem like they're lying to you, they seem guilty as sin. That's when you got to strike. And you got to deal with situations like that. And the situation, honestly, was not handled well at all. And so that's an example where you have cases that had poor handling, and then the defense had a field day, and they turned around, they scared the jurors. So one of the questions was, what are the definitions of murder? First-degree murder is premeditated, or it falls under categories, where there's aggravating factors or felonies in conjunction. Capital murders where the aggravating factors outweigh the mitigating ones. Manslaughter is reckless disregard for human life, and where somebody's in the heat of passion and it's voluntary, where they get an argument and something happens. Second degree murder, maybe somebody's shooting somebody. It has less premeditation, it's more spur of the moment. So these are very important topics, but all murderers are vicious people, and it's a vicious attack. And people don't understand what it does to families. And these are tragic situations. You should be thinking about the impact it has. And people, sometimes who've been abused as children become murderers later on. And it has a dangerous impact on society. So I hope this video helps you understand, this was unacceptable behavior, and doing this kind of stuff. He's paying a price for it. And he's paying. If you have a gun and you pull it out and recklessly use it, you are responsible. And so that's why I'm making this video. So thanks for watching.